So in this double daily, I'm gonna try to talk a little lighter because I'm not in my room and people are supposed to be, I think, in the morning. No, but they're taking a break, so obviously this one's working and the one's not. Whatever. And the one that's already out, they're working. So talking about my family by the way. So in this double daily for 2.5%, I'm gonna talk about what it's like to know what is missing. Now, this is not gonna be short, by the way. It looks like it's short because it's vertical, but I'm doing a longer video than 1 minute, so when you know what's missing, because there's a multiple people in my life have covered this. My father, my psychology teacher in high school, um, other people have covered this. In Rain Man, when Ray has actually throughout the whole movie with the Tom Cruise character and all that, they exhibit all these ideas of these maybe slant ideals for, like, compared to even Forrest Gump, for example. But like Nick just covered that from Captain Sinbad, so you can watch his channel for that. I don't know if I like this guy card right there, but yeah, even covered as Forrest Gump. But like in Rain Man, when Ray exhibits different kinds of classical autism syndromatic behaviors. In one particular scene, like not the airport scene, not the toothpick scene. There's all sorts of them, but the one where he's about to go to the casino with the Tom Cruise character, and he's able to exploit in a good way exploit Ray's ability to know what is missing, because when he looks at a swipe of poker cards falling off the hood of a car, he asks Ray what's left behind on the rest of the deck that he didn't put out yet, and he identifies every single card in the proximity. And that's basically what this video is about. It's like how I know what's missing, how I'm capable, or what that is at the very least what that's like. And I think it's like I didn't go into this video knowing any better about that, but I think it's a gift that I know what's missing because it helps me cope with everything else I do, in spite of my gratitude and positivity in the meantime and all the things I have that are blessings. But when you know what's missing, it's not so much that you have to have that closure, or even if you couldn't, but it's like knowing what's missing. I think this attaches to my cultivation strategies with life. I was inspired by from the Red Rover comic. Soul-based cultivation is like what I would call it at that point, but compared to even the other ideals. One of my thumbnails before was codependent cultivation versus 100% independence and subjective experience. And that was for the life story in 4 minutes video. That was a good video, even the thumbnails. Even though I like adding custom thumbs every single video. That's a different story. So when you know what's missing, it's not so much that I can't explain this, but maybe it is hard to explain. But you're not only obviously more grateful for what you do have, but you realize other things that you could very well have closure on the things that you don't have, and make more out of them in your separate universe and dimension, and pocket hand all those things and be like, oh, I'm not even there yet, and I don't even know what it's like inside or not. But knowing what is missing is a very peculiar ability. It's like you don't. I don't think it's even just so much attached to insight, but it's like or other things, but because my insight's very profound, so. I'm already saying that as if it's a fact. Life opinions video, if you want to watch that as well. The 5 life opinions about myself from the first time I had the name change, the channel on YouTube. But knowing what is missing, this is I have to admit, this is kind of an intermediate topic because I don't know how to finish this video. What did I ever know by example what was missing? Like I knew because I knew how to come up with ideas, philosophical ideas like fundamental context and aural sustenance, which is kind of really what I'm talking about right now. Like with fundamental context and more expansion since the last 720p video, the DSLR. You can watch that as you want. I'm not gonna link any of these actually, but because the idea behind fundamental context was knowing things in an omniscient level without actually literally being omniscient, as with most people. Because the funny thing is that when you define most of humanity or most people living on the earth as being omniscient, you're like, what the freak? It's not even possible you say that's most people, and you don't even believe human stupidity. Tony, well, Oh, by the way, I accept you, Tony. There's my slogan. But intro. And I'll say this ahead of time too. Remember that there's nothing more beautiful than desperation, or there's nothing more devastating than pain not to care. No, I guess bye. No, I'm not leaving yet. But when you know what's missing, like I knew that there were some fundamental context I was missing, like not in even the omniscient sense. Should I even put quotation marks? I'm not gonna say that word in there. Omniscient, omniscient, omniscient. Not at the same time. um, that would be only one of the two of several examples I would kind of. I was like fundamental context I may have lacked from what I could have known ahead of time, like everyone else, and things I already knew ahead of time from compared to them. But and then aural sustenance being that it would have been like having the meaning inherent or not, like objective or subjective, even compared to what I just said like 2 minutes ago about the thumbnail for that one video last 4 minutes. Finally, I think with like, because knowing what's missing is very special. You don't. I didn't explain a lot about that in this whole video, but you can already tell just based on what I said in the last 6 minutes. That I really do have these gifts. I don't want to say too much about like getting them out of the bottle. I keep taking that phrase from that Avengers movie, the first one. I like to compare myself very much to Captain America and Iron Man because I don't. I do see myself as someone who is understandably entitled and privileged, but also at the same time, I have a reason to dismay the people who depend on hard work and responsibility because I have philosophies that see the world differently in that regard. So if I'm the person who wants to debacle the idea of the information age or even things of the nature that should be fought for, should be morally struggling for, and then I'm the villain who goes against those things, even though I'm actually trying to fight my own heroisms with myself. Because when people want to fight for the arts and creativity, and I'm against them, who am I to do that? Because I'm creative myself, or even more creative than them. Oh, but yeah, it's neat that I see the world so differently that when I make the analogy that this is actually kind of related to this video, I guess, like seeing what knowing what's missing or seeing what's missing without knowing what's actually about. The experience is portrayed instances at the point. But anyways, when people have a situation that's bad and they flip it upside down to unveil the secrets and exploit them, like with the examples I keep bringing up about Autism Speaks and the strong cards, like people who are always on the defensive about them and trying to exploit their evils and all that. I'm not saying that those don't exist. There are evils that in many societies, but we should still respect those social norms, those social institutions and creativities, even if they're not what we think they are to be good. But that's not keep coming up in these videos later, unfortunately. But at least I believe in them. So, but it's like even the book that covers Autism Speaks in the articles that may back up electron cards. I keep using those two examples as being controversial defensives, but and when people flip that upside down and they're like, I'm gonna exploit the evils of the video game industry and the mental health institutions, and I turn that sideways, and I'm like, well, they exist. Yes, those evils exist, but you should still respect them because they're still having their own tragedy. You don't know their tragedy, even as a corporation. You don't know their tragedy. You don't know their sufferings. They have a tragedy, and you may think they're 100% evil, but even if you're right, what does that prove to you? That you only know how to exploit the bad and not identify the good. Now, people always saw me as a pessimist because whenever I mention one or two bad things, they'll immediately highlight on those things because they'll think that I've always been negative. If I say even extremely bad things or mention them in that light, that awkward darkness and light, absence of darkness, absence of light, which it should be just absence of light. But what if I come for that? Or speed of darkness? Never-ending story. But when you can actually say that it's not just the light with absence of light, but actually trying to convey what you mean by a neutral factor and variable like the darkness. Anyways, when you know what's missing, and I don't have to bring up like aural sustenance and fundamental context again. I could, because I never digress. But it's a very beautiful thing. Again, I don't know how to make any solid examples, not just because I'm bad at them. And I don't know how to make this any more easier to explain in 10 minutes. But it's... I hope this was a zone example, actually. Literally talking 10 minutes about one phrase I didn't know how to explain. But it's based on my life for sure. It's certainly better that I know how to even do these double dailies playlist again. As for the last good evil one, like I did just yesterday, and that was the only one video that day. But these last 15 seconds, I'll just say, knowing what is missing is very profound. It's like you're never truly left behind. If not, you're actually ahead of the game sometimes. You don't even have to see it that way, but there's a side grade element to that it can also be just as profound, if not really.